What's up, everybody? It's Dingers with the Boys time. That is Boys with a Z. I'm Tim. I'm here with the B.O. in Boys. That's right, it's Kyle.
Yo, what up, everybody? Like Tim said, you're listening to Dingers with the Boys. Last week, we talked about college bowl games, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl. We gave a preview of the College National Championship. If you haven't checked that out, definitely got to go check that out. But we got a packed episode. Tons of stuff has happened in the NBA or the college and sports world. But let's just get straight into it.
Yes, first we got Draymond Green coming back. He was doing a suspension for a couple different things, but it ended up being a 12-game suspension. He's back with the team now. Hopefully he'll be getting back here soon. See how the Warriors kind of change with him back in the lineup.
Yeah, I think the Warriors definitely need him back. They're struggling for sure. They play so much worse without him. I think the biggest thing to know about this suspension is Adam Silver. This is actually, I think, the third most games that a player has been suspended. Number one being the Warriors' former owner got suspended 65 games in 2019 for pushing Kyle Lowry. And then Ja Morant getting suspended for 25 games. And then now Draymond Green getting suspended for 12 games.
Do you think that could just be how the league's going, though? Because I know back in the 80s, 90s, there was a lot more physical, and it was almost like fighting was okay, even though, yeah, they'd get suspended, but it wasn't as big of a deal. And so I feel like the league is almost going more to a less physical game. And so I wonder if that has anything to do with it, just there's not as many opportunities to suspend somebody necessarily.
I think if that's the case, then suspension should actually be more. Because back in the day, if you fought at all, you're basically facing a 10-game minimum, like 7, 8, 9, 10, like sometimes more minimum. But then you see Draymond Green literally like choking people out and punching people and only getting a couple games here and there. So
yeah,
I think I get what you're saying with, the league has got a lot more or a lot less physical and stuff like that. But I think if anything, it should be more punishing.
Yeah. I think the punishment should be, especially for this, I think it should have been longer. However, I just think there's less opportunities now to suspend people.
But yeah, definitely interesting. Also staying in NBA news, Ja Morant had a labrum injury. It's going to force him to miss the remaining of the season. Huge loss for Memphis.
It's just once the Grizzlies just started getting it going. They just started kicking butt, and they were winning with Ja Morant. And they did win last night without him. And so who knows, maybe they still can make a push for the playoffs. But that's a huge blow because I know we talked about it where with him back, we thought they were a playoff team.
Yeah,
and
they were definitely like an 8 or 9 seed that could be very very tough to play come playoff season. And then even more, like Marcus Smart also just got hurt. He's going to be out for, I think, 6 weeks. So for the finger injury. So
just some rough injuries. Steven Adams was out for the season. It's just might just be kind of a wash season for the.
I mean, at this point, just not really tank, but just try to win as many games as possible and prepare for the draft next year. But,
yeah, exactly. Speaking of the draft, a little bit college basketball, the last 2 days, as of doing this pod, because I know there's a few more games playing tonight, but in a 2-game span, 9 of the top 25 teams lost. And it's crazy because it was actually the 4th time in history that the top 3 lost to unranked teams in a 2-day span, first in the last 20 seasons, and it's the first time ever that 4 of the top 5 lost in a 2-day span to unranked teams. But it's just man, that was a crazy 2 games. The 1 seed, the 2 seed, or the 1 ranked, 2 ranked, 3 ranked, 5, 9, 11, 17, 18, and 21 all lost. Granted, number 18, they lost to number 14, so that wasn't an unranked team. That was BYU, number 18. They lost to number 14, Baylor. But to see this many ranked teams lose in a 2-day span to unranked opponents, is wild.
Yeah, it's something you definitely don't see a lot. The number one team being Purdue, we've talked about them before on this podcast. And Tim, like, I've never really been a fan of Purdue. I think they're a little overrated. I think as long as you stop Zach Edey, then this Purdue team isn't very good, and that's exactly what happened. Zach Edey had a rough game and had some foul trouble, and
that game wasn't actually even close.
No, it was a blowout.
Yeah, some of the other ones were close, and it's rough, man. It was crazy. I was like, all right, Houston's going to move up. Oh, Kansas is going to move up, and they just kept losing. So my guess is UConn's probably going to be the number one after this week, but who knows? It's a crazy time, and I was hoping Colorado State would beat Boise State the other night. They were one of the teams that lost just to be able to move up a little bit, but they lost, and it's just a crazy time in college basketball right now.
Yeah, for sure. But I love the underdog stories. I love when unranked teams pull out a victory. It's always super fun to see. But yeah.
And then there's just so much news in sports right now. We want to kind of talk about there's a lot of different coaching firings, coaches retiring, leaving, everything. We know we're not going to get to all of them, but the three we kind of want to really hit on is Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban. All around the same age, all are historically good coaches, and in a 24-hour span, all three of them done with their teams.
And it's kind of like surprising too, because the only team that really had a bad year this year was the Patriots, but Seahawks, they were right on the cusp of playoffs, and then Alabama, they made it to the Rose Bowl, lost to Michigan, who ended up winning the national championship. So
yeah, they had a really good chance.
They had a really good chance of winning. They had a really good year. So I think just all three of these firing / mutual agreements to part ways, like every single one is surprising. And while you can make arguments of, I can see why they moved away from their respective teams, you can also make arguments of, this is just mind-blowing news of, I can't believe this just happened. So
yeah, I've got a couple of questions that I think it would be cool for us to talk about, but it's kind of about all three of them. I kind of want to just talk about each one specifically and what they mean to their teams and just what they've meant for football in general. Let's start with Pete Carroll. He was hired in 2010 for the Seattle Seahawks. He coached 14 seasons there. He won 5 NFC West titles with 1 Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowl appearances. He was really close to winning 2 Super Bowls. If he would have handed it off to Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, the most controversial call.
Exactly.
The last 20 years.
Yeah. Since he's been with the Seahawks, he's got a 60.6 win percentage, which is 6th best in the NFL in that time. And he's actually only one of 3 head coaches to win a Super Bowl and an AP national title, which is kind of crazy to think about. There's just been so many great coaches. And so the other 2 being Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, I believe is how you say his name. But that's pretty crazy. He was also iconic at USC. I know he coached a few other places as well, but he was iconic at USC. He coached there, started in 2001, coached 9 seasons, and he won 7 Pac-10 titles in those 9 seasons, 2 national AP championships, and overall he was 97-19 with 6 losses in his first and 4 in his last season. So if you take those 2 losses out, he was 80, or those 2 losses and the wins in those first and last seasons, because those were his worst seasons. He went 82-9 at USC.
That's insane.
And that would be in 7 seasons. So like if you would take the first and last 2, but it's like, man, that's crazy.
That's an insane stat.
Yeah. Even if you keep those in there, thinking about it, it's 97-19 in 9 seasons. That's pretty legit.
Yeah. Not many coaches can definitely say that.
It's interesting. Do you think he'll coach somewhere else?
I think he will. I think I know Pete Carroll is getting up there in age, but he still looks good. It looks like he's a pretty healthy guy. He takes care of himself, and I don't think I don't think he'll probably like find a team really easily. There's a lot of teams right now that are very head coach needy.
Yeah, and he said in his, I don't know if it was an exit interview or press conference or what, that he's ready. He wanted to coach.
Yeah.
He fully expected to be coaching Seattle next year. And so the fact that he's not is kind of weird. But
I think of the three that we're talking about in this episode, I think Pete Carroll is the most surprising because, like you just said, he wanted to coach. He had no intentions of stopping coaching. Like, he was fully intended of, I'm ready for next year.
Yep.
But he's always been like I think like players always like look up to him and stuff. Like, one of my favorite things I've learned about Pete Carroll is when DK Metcalf was coming into the league. In one of his interviews, DK Metcalf is like shirtless, and because everybody knows DK Metcalf's a beast. And Pete Carroll comes in, takes his shirt off, and is like, all right, I can do that too, like, basically. So, but yeah, Pete Carroll's always been like a fun character, and I think definitely like his phone's going to be blowing up.
Yeah. Because
teams like Carolina and the Chargers and all these like teams that are
even New England, maybe.
Yeah, even New England.
I don't think New England would, just because they're getting rid of Bellichick, who's around, like, I believe they're both either 71 or 72, right around that.
Yeah.
So I think New England's going to be looking at
probably someone younger, but there's.
It's weird though, because Seattle has said that he's going to be back in an advisory role, but I don't think he wants to do that. And so I think
he wants to be a coach.
Yep. I could see maybe the Chargers, just because he was at USC, not too far. Well, now it's in LA, both of them are in LA.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see that.
I think the Chargers actually go after Harbaugh at Michigan. I think Harbaugh has coached his last game at Michigan. I think this is the year he makes the leap into the NFL. He's been rooted to LA and the Chargers growing up, and I think this is the year that he makes that step. But
speaking of Harbaugh too, we kind of just went over the national championship just because there's so much other stuff.
There's so much.
Let's hit on that just really quick. Michigan ends up winning the national championship. It's their first since 1997. They won 34-13. It was 20-13 going into the fourth, so it wasn't that far out of reach.
Yeah.
Washington had their chances, but I feel like Michigan's defense really locked down Penix and the whole Washington offense, and that's kind of what we were saying last week.
Yep.
We just thought that they had too many weapons that they weren't going to be able to cover them all.
Which, if you watch that game, Penix Jr. had open receivers almost all game. He just was missing them. He was
just flustered.
Overshooting them or flustered or just couldn't quite figure out the defense. I remember even watching that last interception that Penix threw. It kind of showed Penix Jr., and you could kind of like read his lips of he's trying to figure out the defense, and he just has no clue. Ends up throwing it into basically triple coverage.
Yeah.
Ends up getting picked off. And that was a big thing going into it. Michigan's defense was the most pro-style defense that any college has really ran lately. It was definitely like flustering for Penix Jr. But
like you said, he had open receivers.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't think Michigan's like offense played that great either. It definitely seemed like they were not doing enough, that Washington was still in the game. Because like you said, it was 20-13 going into the fourth. And you're just waiting for Washington to finally make that click and start hitting their receivers. But
a couple big plays could have
then it never happened. So
I think the biggest thing with Michigan, it was their run game. And it wasn't just Corum. It was Edwards as well. Corum had 21 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Edwards had 6 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. So altogether, Michigan had 303 rushing yards, whereas Washington only had 46, which is a huge difference. The passing yards was Washington had 255 and Michigan had 140, so they caught up a little bit there. But honestly, that was the big difference. Washington actually had the ball more of the time than Michigan by about a little over a minute and a half, and Washington had one more first down and 15 yards less in penalties, which is kind of crazy because Washington is very penalized. But it was a pretty even game overall, other than that
The
rushing.
final, the final couple minutes is really just what pushed it over.
Yeah, but yeah, Harbaugh. Now let's go kind of back into the coach. I know it was a little off, but yeah, Harbaugh. We'll see if he ends up going to the Chargers or what. I could see him maybe going to the Patriots. I don't know. I think he wants to be in a warm one, but with Bill Belichick leaving, he was hired in 2000. He coached 24 seasons with the Patriots, won 6 Super Bowls, had 9 Super Bowl appearances. He won 17 AFC East titles, which is crazy, 17 in 24 seasons. He had 266 wins in New England and 302 overall, which is third all-time, just to Don Shula, 328, and George Halas, 318. It's kind of crazy, the fourth person on that list. Do you have any idea who it would be? I'm not going to let you see my notes.
No idea.
He's a coach right now. He's an active coach.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Andy Reid is the fourth.
Okay.
And
I get that.
He has 258. So to think about it, Belichick is almost 50 more wins than him, and he's been on a tear with Kansas City lately. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, even was good in Philadelphia before that too. So
yeah, exactly. And just Belichick, I know a lot has to do with Tom Brady, I'm sure, but they did have that perfect season in 2007, but lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. So they went 18-1 that season, which is a huge accomplishment, 16 in the regular season. But Belichick is New England. Like when you think of New England, it is Belichick. And it was Tom Brady too. You know, even now, I feel like when I think of Tom Brady, I still think of New England, even though he went to Tampa.
They were a tandem duo that went hand in hand for forever, and is a big reason why New England has had such huge success. It is interesting. Like, I think Bill Belichick has kind of gotten a little bit less credit than what he probably deserves after Tom Brady left, because Tom Brady left, went to the Bucs, won a Super Bowl, and ever since that happened, the Patriots haven't really been that good. So everybody's been kind of seeing like, oh yeah, see, it was Tom Brady, not Belichick. But I mean, a quarterback can't win on his own, and a coach can't win on his own. So I think like Belichick definitely deserves a little bit more credit. He had the help of a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's also just a genius when it comes to playing and coaching. Like, he's always had one of the best defenses. He's he just knows how to coach.
Yeah.
But
I know as a Bronco fan, I'm glad that he's a help because even this year, you know, I mean, they won 4 games. Well, one of them was against us.
Yeah. And this year, versus the Broncos, it was supposed to be an easy win. Exactly. It was supposed to be piece of cake win, but we all know how that turned out.
I'm interested to see if he ends up going somewhere else because he's also up there. He doesn't have anything else to prove. Does he want to coach again? I don't know.
Personally, I think what I'd like to see, and I'm not really a New England fan or anything like that, but if I was, I'd want him to come back as a coordinator. I'd want him to come back as hey, just run the defense or
but there's no way he's doing that.
Probably not.
If you think about it, there's absolutely no way. Hey, you're not head coach after 24 seasons, but do you want to be our defensive coordinator?
Yeah.
There's no way.
I'm just saying, if I had my way and if I had my say, then I think I would love him to be the coordinator. Yeah. But like I said, I don't know if he will. I don't know if that's what he wants, but
I would be very shocked if that happens.
Yeah.
I would put a lot of money on that not happening. But
you never know.
You never know. I don't know.
I'll hold you to that if I end up being right.
Yeah, if Kyle's right, I'll pay him some money. I don't know how much, but I'll pay him some money.
Give me some vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, that gross vanilla ice cream. That's what I'll give him. You know what's crazy? I read this stat. Take a guess on the number of coaches the other 31 NFL teams have had since 2000 when Belichick got hired by the Patriots.
Man,
Don't look at my notes.
I don't want to sound stupid, but I don't know.
I hope you're like so off. But
I probably will be. I'll say like, I don't know, 30,
30?
50.
Kyle.
I don't know.
Since 2000. Think of how many coaches the Broncos have had since then.
I know, we've had a lot. I feel like 30 is a lot.
The other 31 NFL teams? That means they've all had one coach.
True. All right, maybe like 150.
It's 162.
Hey! Yeah. It took some time, but I was close.
Oh my gosh. That's embarrassing.
I told you I didn't want to sound stupid.
I'm glad I asked that because that just made my day. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. The next guy is Nick Saban, and he actually comes from the Bellichick tree. He was coordinator in Cleveland when Bellichick was the head coach there. But Nick Saban is college football. He was hired in 2007, coached 17 seasons for Alabama, won 6 national championships there, 9 SEC championships. He went 201 and 29 at Alabama. However, he technically went 206 and 29. 5 wins were vacated his first season, which it wasn't his fault. It was from the previous coaches, so I don't know why he gets dinged for it. But say just without that season, he went 199 and 23 in 17 seasons, or it would be 16 seasons, I guess, which he was 80.4% win percentage all time. He never had a losing record in college, not just out of Alabama, at LSU, at Michigan State, Toledo, anywhere where he was a head coach, he never had a losing record, which is crazy because he's been around for so long. Another one, he was at LSU. He coached 5 seasons at LSU. He was hired in 2000. He won 1 national championship there, 2 SEC championships. So he has 7 national championships altogether, 11 SEC championships, which is the conference in college football. So to win 11 of those is pretty impressive. And it's kind of crazy just like his coaching tree and like the top players he coached, just looking at all the people that are connected to him.
Yeah, you think about it, like every single player, you grow up playing football and you want to play for Bama. You want to play for Nick Saban because he's the dude. He's the guy. He's going to be the best chance you got at making it to the NFL. I mean, he's led college football in first-round picks by a wide margin. He's so much steps ahead of almost every single coach that this is probably the most detrimental to a team of a coach leaving in the last I don't even know how many years.
Oh, it's huge.
It's going to be crazy to see who can even attempt to replace Nick Saban. Yeah. What happens to this Bama organization now?
I don't think I would be. I know how Alabama's still the mecca, but I don't know if I would want to come because there's so much pressure, like how good Nick Saban was for so long.
Exactly.
And I think he changed college football almost, like the recruiting wise. I know I've read stories about him where he recruited and he did it almost like he was preparing for like the NFL draft. He had like his draft board, and I know people went there just to see the board.
Yeah.
And I know he was big in psychological and stuff. He brought in different people during like the season and stuff, and instead of practicing, they would go listen to motivational speakers and stuff for a couple hours. And it was kind of unorthodox, but man, he won, and people wanted to play for him. I think the transfer portal is going to be going
crazy.
off. Come on, Dion, get those guys.
Yeah, start calling people.
Exactly, get those dogs. But just it's going to be so weird watching Alabama and not thinking Nick Saban. I know even a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Alabama and Michigan football game, I was like, I'm going to go with Bama because I don't think Nick Saban's going to lose after having that much time to do it. And they did have a very good chance to win, but they ended up losing, But he's amazing.
I think he said, this is the perfect time to kind of hang up his hat. He did what he set out to do. It was a very tough decision for him to end up leaving, but I totally get why. I mean, he's another one that he doesn't have anything to prove. He's already etched his way into the Hall of Fame.
He's one of those guys that, or one out of these three that I don't think he wants to coach. And I did read his little press conference after he announced it and stuff, and he said that it's just he wants to coach, but it's getting too hard at his age. It was a lot easier when he was 62 instead of 72, and it's the way he wants to coach. Because I've heard around that, oh, maybe he should just step back a little bit and stuff, but that's not how he wants to coach. He is very hands-on, and he wants to be in part of it and everything.
And I think that's a big part of college football too. It's molding young players into good men, and that's a big part of college sports is and knowing that a lot of these college athletes are not going to go to the next round, the next level, and so you got to almost have a brand, another aspect of your coaching of, hey, you're not just coaching players to play a sport, you're coaching them for life. You're coaching them for their next stages in life, whether it be for NFL or just graduating and becoming citizens and doing great things after college sports. But
when you see some of these top players that he coached, and even coaches that coached under him that became head coaches, some of the players, Bryce Young, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Amari Cooper, Devontae Smith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Patrick Surtain, and list goes on. Some of the coaches that became head coach under Saban, Jimbo Fisher, Jason Garrett, Dan Quinn, Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Butch Jones, Dan Lanning, Brian DeBall, and like I said, the list goes on. I could just keep naming, and it's some of these big names. Yeah. And unlike, I know Belichick's coaching tree is kind of looked at where a lot of the coaches that are under him haven't gone on to have great careers, but under Saban, there's a lot of good names on there, Yeah. I mean, just think of Kirby Smart. That's huge, And so it's really cool to see with that. And the way just talking and how you said molding players and stuff for the next level, it reminds me of Coach K. But before I do that, let's take a break really quick. When we come back, I want to see what you think about this. We'll be right back.
Uh-oh, they're stuck in a lurch. Come on down to Colorado Hat and help them clear out their merch. Colorado Hat Company, soon to be vacating the Colorado Mills Mall. Deals, deals, deals. Everything must go. Tell them the Dinger sent ya.
All right, that was a word from our sponsor, Colorado Hat Company. Definitely go check them out. They will be there until the end of January. They're awesome for sure. But we're talking about these coaches, the big changes and everything. And so we were talking about Nick Saban, and like I said, it just reminded me of Mike Krzyzewski, what he meant to Duke basketball and just college basketball in general. And that's kind of what it reminds me of, even though he wasn't with Alabama that long. Who do you think is the better college coach, Krzyzewski or Nick Saban? And I'll give you a couple of Krzyzewski, just little tidbits. He coached Duke for 42 seasons, 1980 to 2022. In that 42 seasons, he won 5 national titles, 13 Final Fours, 15 ACC tournament championships, 13 ACC regular season championships. He was 1,129 and 309. It was his record at Duke, which is a 78.5% win percentage. And he has most wins by a head coach in NCAA basketball history with 1,202. Only 368 losses in that, and a total of 76.6 win percentage of all time. So who do you think is the better coach, Nick Saban or Coach Krzyzewski?
This is a pretty tough question to tackle because, both coaches are amazing in their own right. But I think I'm going to have to go with Coach K. Just from what he did to that organization and how good he was for so long, I think it would be almost – I don't want to say disrespectful to not say he's better, but it's – I think he's the better coach of the two.
It's funny because I'm huge in college basketball.
Yeah.
Loved Coach K. I was actually kind of leaning towards Coach Saban, and strictly because Coach K, his longevity was crazy, and he was great just continuously, but he did only win 5 national championships. However, I do think it's harder to win the national championship in basketball than it is in football, just with March Madness.
Especially in the last 10 years since Saban has been in Bama.
Yeah, and so I think it's a little harder in that. But Nick Saban did win 7 national championships in technically 22 seasons. So that was LSU, 5 in LSU, 17 in Alabama. And I was kind of leaning actually towards Nick Saban. However, like you said, it's so hard to say. I think they are the GOATs of college football and the GOAT of college basketball as coaching. Sure. And you just see the players that come in, just what they, like you said, not even just the players, it's just like who they've become, and just they do really shape these people. And I know Coach K didn't coach in the NBA at all. However, he did coach for the Olympics. Yep. Nick Saban did coach in the NFL, and it didn't go great. Yep. It wasn't like the worst, but he didn't do amazing. But I think these two were made for college athletes. I agree. I don't think either of them, if they would have went back into the pros, would have been as good. Krzyzewski did do good in the Olympics. However, it was very – it's a hard decision to think.
Yeah. Just to play like devil's advocate here, I will say I think in college basketball it is a lot easier to rely on 1 or 2 really good players to carry you into a national championship, whereas football, you can't just get a really good quarterback or a really good running back and then everybody else not be as good. So I will just to play devil's advocate, just to kind of give another jab for Nick Saban, that it takes a lot more of a complete team to be great in football, in college football, than it is to be great in college basketball. So I think that's just a little tidbit, I guess, for an argument for Nick Saban's side.
Yeah.
But
it's a little difference too, because in college football for a little bit, and even now, you can say sometimes it's popularity. I mean, there was a lot of controversy that Alabama should have even gotten in that top 4 this year. And so and a lot of people say it is because popular. So I wonder if at a smaller school or something. Yeah, exactly. And hey, you see Alabama? Oh no, they're in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting next year. Is Alabama still going to get that popularity? Are they still going to get the special treatment that people say they get, or
exactly
not?
One more question about the coaches. We got Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Nick Saban. Say you were starting a franchise. You could have one of those coaches for, say, the next 5 years. Who would you pick?
Okay.
Say in order.
Are we doing NFL or college? That's a big difference.
Let's go Nick Saban in college.
Okay.
Say you're in college. Bill Belichick in NFL. Pete Carroll, whichever, because he did great in both.
I'd probably pick Nick Saban as number 1. I think he's a clear number 1. Number 2, I'd probably go Pete Carroll, actually.
Interesting.
And then I'd go Bill Belichick.
I think I would go Nick Saban as my number 1, but I think I would pick Bill Belichick and then Pete Carroll. And the only reason it might be a little biased for me. I didn't like Pete Carroll when he was at USC. I'm a Notre Dame fan. We do not like USC. And so when he went to Seattle, I'm like, I don't like him. And then he beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl. I don't like him even more.
I really don't like him,
And it's funny because he eats a piece of grass before the games, every single game. And I'm like, gosh, it just grinds my gears a little bit. I don't know why, And so maybe that's why. I think all 3 are great. I think Nick Saban's the best college coach to ever coach. Bill Belichick is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest NFL. And Pete Carroll's no slouch either. So it's fun just to see those guys' career, and we were a part of it. I mean, we saw it
we
firsthand.
got to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But let's talk about these NFL games. We wanted to talk about the playoffs a lot more than we're going to this week, but a lot of stuff happened. So we got 6 playoff games for the NFL this week. They're starting. The Baltimore Ravens and San Francisco 49ers have the bye for the first round. And these are also going to be our game picks, so we're going to pick them as we go. Last week wasn't our greatest picks.
I mean, you did all right. You went 2
I think we both went 1 and 2.
Yeah, we both went 1 and 2.
Yep.
That's right.
And so
we both got Houston right, and that's it.
Yep.
We both got Washington
because
wrong.
we both picked Washington, and then the other one we picked was –
oh, no, you did go 2 and 1 because you picked – let me pull it up.
I can't even remember the other game we picked. There's been so much.
You picked Buffalo.
Oh, that's
Buffalo
right.
ended up winning. So,
That's
yeah,
right.
you went 2 and 1. I went 1 and 2.
That's right. Okay. So it wasn't too bad.
Already starting a game ahead, but
Woo-hoo!
I'm going to come back here. So.
But we're going to actually pick all 6 games this week. Figure why not. And we'll tell you guys who we think is going to be in the Super Bowl. But let's just go first one. Cleveland Browns at Houston Texans. Houston lost earlier this season to the Browns. They're 36-22 earlier in the season.
And that was just a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is a crazy game because it's weird to see Houston having a home game.
I love it, though.
Oh,
yeah.
Agreed. But the way that Cleveland's been playing since Joe Flacco, I think they're a pretty big threat with the defense that they have.
Yeah.
And there's so much of me that wants to pick the Houston Texans in this game. However, I think Cleveland's going to go in there. Like I said, Flacco's been playing great. Amari Cooper's been playing great. Their defense just as a whole has been doing really good. So I'm going to go Cleveland Browns for this first game.
You don't want to pick Houston. I'm all for it. I'm going Houston. I'm on the bandwagon. Huge CJ Stroud fan. I think, they did lose a couple weeks ago to the Browns, but CJ Stroud was out.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to beat a team
that's
twice.
a huge impact. So I think CJ Stroud coming back will be a big difference for this Houston team. I think this Houston team is also a little underrated. I mean, they're not amazing on paper. They're basically middle of the pack on everywhere. And then I'll bring this up first. I always do 2 players. And this week I'm actually going to do something different. I have a player that I don't trust. And that's actually going to be Joe Flacco.
Ah, you're whack.
So
you're whack.
In the last 5 games, he's got a 13-5 touchdown to interception ratio, it was 13-8. My bad. Which isn't great. 8 interceptions in 5 games. That's not amazing. He had 2 versus Houston. He has a QB rating of 90.2. And they won 36-22, but CJ Stroud was out. And Amari Cooper had his career game, 11 receptions for 265 and 2 touchdowns. So it's I don't think Amari Cooper is going to be able to recreate that. I don't think the Browns have
Not only do I think he is going to recreate it, I think he's going to do better.
No way. I think Houston wins this game. It's going to be close, but I think Houston wins.
Yeah, don't listen to Kyle's picks this week because Joe Flacco is going to tear up Houston.
All right.
I hope Houston wins. I actually hope Houston wins, but I'm going to pick the Browns. Next one, we got 2 juggernauts. Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs get another home playoff game.
Ooh.
Yeah, unfortunately. And they played earlier this season too. Miami lost to the Chiefs 21-14, and I think that was pretty early in the season if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But these are some juggernauts here.
I mean, so I'll start it off. I think this game is going to come down to health. I know Miami's banged up a bit with Waddle and Mostert, but I'm still going to back Miami. I think, they have bad records against over 500 teams, but this Kansas City Chiefs team is not what they're normally.
They just look
drop
off.
passes. It just
even Travis Kelce.
Yeah, even Kelce, who is normally great, he's not having his normal year of dominant. So I think Miami's defense is going to be able to get to Mahomes. Like, they're going to be able to turn the ball over. And I think especially I'm really hoping Mostert plays, because if he's out, then that could be really bad for Miami. But Tyreek Hill going against his old team, I just think I got to go with Miami.
Yeah, it's crazy that we say that Kelsey's having like not a dominant season, and he was 16 yards from 1,000 yards still.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I completely agree. I don't think he is as big of a threat this season, and it's different too because it's not like they have like a Tyreek Hill or something like that as well, you know. And so I'm going to go with Miami too. I think they're going to go into Kansas City, and it's tough because it's supposed to be really cold, I believe, in Kansas City, and I think snowy.
Yeah.
Correct? I think it's supposed to snow as well.
That's what I hear.
You know, I'm going to change to the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I wasn't going to, but if it's cold and snowy, they're probably not going to throw it that much. And I do think the Dolphins have the better throwing game, especially if Waddle plays Tyreek Hill. But I think Mahomes can get it done in the snow. Miami isn't used to it as much. And so, man, I was going to pick Miami with you, but I'm going to go we'll go Kansas City Chiefs in that one.
All right. Yeah.
So we'll see.
I could see it. I think this is one of the hardest games to pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go either way. Next one, we got Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo Bills. And this is very interesting because I think TJ Watt is out.
Yep, he's already been ruled out.
So, which is a huge blow. And I think they're only like 1-10 when he's not playing.
Yeah. Which
is crazy to think about. And that's not just like 11 straight games. It's just here and there, you know. And so I think that's big. I think the way Josh Allen's playing, he's playing pretty good. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I'm going to pick the home team. We'll go Buffalo Bills in this one.
Yep, I'm going to go Buffalo as well. I think, with TJ Watt being out and like the rest of this Pittsburgh team really isn't that good this year. Yeah, they ended up getting in the playoffs, but I just don't think we'll be able to keep up with Buffalo. I think it's Buffalo's to lose, but I think they'll win. Yeah,
I think the one thing, the bright side with Pittsburgh, they're getting Mika Fitzpatrick back, they said this week. Yeah. And so I think that's huge for their defense.
Yeah, they need that.
Mm-hmm. We'll see what it does, you know. Next one, we got Green Bay Packers at Dallas Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I think the biggest reason is they're going to be the home team. They're undefeated at home this season, have a huge uptick in scoring when they're playing at home. Again, this Packers, they're coming in kind of banged up. Wide receivers are kind of banged up for the last few weeks. And I think this Cowboys team is way better at home than on the road. And I think they beat the Packers.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the Cowboys are going to destroy the Packers. The fact that the Packers even got into the playoffs is surprising to me, honestly. Yeah. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think the Broncos could beat them, but
we did beat them.
True. Yeah, true. Yeah. We did beat them, you know. But I don't think they're a top playoff team. I think the Cowboys are going to just destroy them. And it's tough because the Cowboys do tend to lose big games in the playoffs.
Yep.
And so I know we've done this before where it's like, the Cowboys got a path to the Super Bowl, you know. But I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Packers. I don't think Prescott and Pollard and CeeDee Lamb, I don't think Packers have anybody that is going to stop them, honestly. And all their other weapons as well, and their defense is great. I think their defense is going to have a heyday with Jordan Love. Yeah. So we'll see. And like you said, being at home, I think this is actually the easiest game to pick, in my opinion. Yeah. So I think Cowboys are going to destroy them. The next one is actually one of my hardest games, I believe, it's the Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
I think this is the hardest for the NFC for sure. Do you want to start on this one? Or?
Yeah, I can. Okay. The Rams, you know, with Stafford and Kupp and Puka, they're playing great. And then you got Kyron Williams, the old Notre Dame player. He's looking like a stud at running back.
Yep.
It's like, where did he come from? But then you got the Lions with Goff and St. Brown, and they're playing great all season. And I think I'm going to go to the Rams, though. I think you're going to pick Detroit. So I'm going to pick the Rams. I think they just kind of got it going a little bit. I think they have a few more offensive weapons than the Lions. And I think it's going to be a very good game. And it could come down right to like the last 5-6 minutes in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to go with the Rams in this one.
I personally think this Rams team is one of the most dangerous teams going into the playoffs. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. Only loss in that span was versus the Ravens. They only lost 36-31, which this Ravens team looks insane.
Dominant, yep.
And Kyron Williams has been a big part of their success in that time span. He's got 8 touchdowns. But the thing to watch is going to be the Lions allow the second fewest rush yards this season. So they've been really great against the run. I'll bring up my second player of the week. It's going to be Aiden Hutchinson. He's a defensive end for Detroit. He's got 6 sacks in his last 5 games. He's a really integral part to this rush defense and the pass defense. I think if Detroit can limit the run game, I think they can win. But it's kind of tough. Like I was kind of going back and forth between this game, but I think I do got to go with Detroit. There was some kind of concerns with Laporta getting hurt. I don't know what his availability will be, but and if he is out, then that's a huge loss. But
a huge blow. Yep.
I think I still got to go with Jared Goff. I think he's going to be able to get it done. And it might just be because they're the home team. They've got St. Brown, who's been killing it still. They can get a deep shot with their other receivers. So I think this was really tough. I could definitely see the Rams winning, but I think I just got to go with Detroit.
Yeah, and I kind of figured you'd go with Detroit, honestly. My thing, even if they stop the run, if Detroit can stop the run with the Rams, how are you going to stop the passing game then? And, all right, if you stop the passing game, all right, how are you going to stop the running game? I just think either way, they can kill you, And so they were Super Bowl champions a few years ago.
Yeah, I think this Rams team they're a sleeper for sure.
Yep. Last game we got is the Philadelphia Eagles at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa lost to the Eagles 25-11 in the season. The fact that the Eagles don't have a home game is crazy. They're you'd think they're pretty much one of the top teams.
Yeah.
And so it's weird to think. And I don't think Tampa's that great of a team either. They're kind of, I wouldn't say like the Packers, how I think they're better than the Packers. However, I don't see them really doing much. I think the Eagles are going to go into Tampa. I think they're going to take care of business and win this. I think that it's going to be pretty handily, at least by 10-plus points is what I'm thinking.
Yep, I'm with you there. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because I don't think the Eagles have really looked good. But I think it's going to be really shocking if they do lose this game because, like you said, I don't think the Buccaneers are all that great. Yeah, Baker Mayfield has been playing really well.
Yeah,
Buccaneers defense. Buccaneers defense has been stepping it up. And, this Eagles team doesn't look the same ever since they went on this huge losing spell. But, again, it's
I hope Tampa wins, though.
It's playoffs. It's now or never.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out. And I think Eagles definitely had the talent. They have the capabilities of just, hey, yeah, we sucked to end the season, but hey, we're 0-0 now.
Exactly.
It's win or go home.
Yeah.
I think they win.
I think, we've talked, we like the underdogs. I'd love to see Tampa Bay knock out the Eagles, but I just don't think it's happened. And then, like we were saying earlier, we got the Ravens and the 49ers both on bye. Super Bowl picks. It's still early. I know who I have, and there is a couple other teams that like definitely could change my mind in the next couple of weeks. However, I'm going with the two that are on the bye. I think the Baltimore Ravens look so dominant. I don't think anybody can stop them. I think they're getting to the Super Bowl for sure in the AFC. And then 49ers with McCaffrey and like Purdy and just
Ayuk and Carroll and
whoever they have. And their
Debo.
defenses look great too. Baltimore's defense look great. I think they're going to run through the NFC. I think the Cowboys could end up making that a little problem. I think it'll be probably the Cowboys and 49ers. If I don't know how the bracket is for sure, but if that's possible, I think the 49ers and Cowboys are going to make it to the NFC Championship. But I think the 49ers and Ravens are going to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I also have them too, but just to like as a alternate that I could see, I'll have a Ravens and Cowboys up there, just because I think if the Rams do beat Detroit, the Rams would then play the 49ers, and I think the Rams are the only NFC team that I could see beating the 49ers.
Yeah.
They did it in the last game of the regular season. Yeah, 49ers were sitting a bunch of players, but even when they played earlier in the season, they gave them a run for their money, made it a really close game, and this Rams team is hot right now. They're the hottest team in the NFC, in my opinion. So if the Rams do get past Detroit and go up against 49ers, I could see that Rams take down the 49ers.
Yeah. It's just a tough to go into somewhere.
Yeah.
And especially like
it is.
The Rams and the Eagles and the Dolphins. Because those are my, like, especially the Eagles and the Dolphins, those are probably my other top teams. However, they're away the entire playoffs.
Yep.
And so they have to win on the road every single game.
Yep.
And so we'll see. I guess I could see the Bills, Chiefs, or Dolphins giving the Ravens maybe a little trouble, but I still think that the Ravens just dominate them. The way Lamar Jackson's playing, it's just in their defense. It's just
Lamar Jackson's the clear-cut MVP. I don't think anybody AFC-wise can keep up with them.
Yeah.
Their defense has been amazing this year. Lamar Jackson has been amazing. There's just no stopping them right now.
It's crazy with some of the injuries they have on offense, too.
Yeah.
And still just playing great.
Yep.
And I would love to see that Super Bowl, the Ravens 49ers.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Do you know who you think is going to win right now? Super Bowl.
I think if
I have my team in my
taking my bias out of it, because I really love Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers, but I think the Ravens will win.
That's what me too. And like I said, watching these games this weekend could change my mind next couple of weekends. But right now, that's who I'm thinking, just how dominant they've been over not just bad teams, good teams too.
Yep.
You see, like, oh, this is going to be a really good team.
And then they just
the Ravens
blow them
are
out.
just like, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that wasn't anything. You know? But I don't know. We'll see. We're excited definitely for this NFL playoffs to start. But let us know what you think. Let us know what games you think are going to be good, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. What do you think about all these coaching changes? And I know there's so much more that we could go into with these coaches and other coaches, because there's a lot of different things that have happened in all the sports, and we could just keep going on and on,
Yep.
But definitely let us know. We'll try to do better next week. Hopefully you guys liked this pod this week. We've been doing some shorts, so definitely check those out. Just doing some fun facts and just some cool sports facts, and just seeing – it's kind of cool seeing those little like tidbits and stuff. And so we're kind of giving you guys some stuff when we're in between the pods. So definitely go check those out. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, but definitely go check those out. Let us know what you think. And you got anything else, Kyle?
No, obviously you guys can tell we got video now, so we got a pretty cool camera. So hopefully our shorts and our episodes start looking better. But yeah, definitely let us know what you guys think. We love doing this every single week, and I think we could keep on getting better and better, but obviously we'd love your feedback if we're doing something that you want to see or we're doing something that you don't want to see. Yeah, we're learning as we go and just having fun as we go. So
yeah,
but yeah,
it's one of my favorites. I know me and Kyle talk about it all week long.
Oh yeah,
we talk a lot anyways, but this
Yep.
is definitely a huge topic over the past few months, and it's just like you said, it's just so fun.
But yeah, that's all we got for this week's episode. Hope everybody has a great week. Hope everybody stays healthy. But yeah,
we'll see you later, alligators.
Later.
Peace.
You know, man.